Minasan! Welcome back for another round of MechWarrior Battletech research. We're taking a quick shift here because despite doing all the research to the lore and so on, I need to learn a little bit more about the game itself. And I don't just mean the history of the game, I mean the actual game. It's benefit to me, you know, because game design is very important, as well as the lore. And what a great opportunity it is to take to try and understand the game. Understanding the game better, I understood the lore better, as theory goes. So this is Snalespune. Snalespune had a lot of views and comments say that this was a very good video. How to play Battletech in 30 minutes. The links are in the description down below. So be sure to check them out if you're up to looking to learn the game and everything. So be sure to get your notes ready for my post research thoughts. And this is a call to action. Comment, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification button, and let us begin the research.
Welcome to Battletech, the game of armored mech combat in the 31st century. This guide will help explain Battletech's lore, history, and how to play your first game.
We're gonna get these someday. We're gonna get this. In the real world, we're gonna have these giant mechs running around. It's gonna happen. Japan is working on it. We all know Japan is working on them Gundams.
Battletech is a tabletop miniatures wargame originally produced by FASA Corporation back in 1984. Players command mighty walking tanks known as battlemechs. These machines were slow, lumbering industrial giants, a direct contrast to Japanese mecha of the time. Just like its contemporaries, the Battletech universe garnered a massive fanbase. This success spawned the MechWarrior series of video games, tons of fiction, and even an animated TV show.
Is this
really?
some kind of joke?
You dare to refuse my bajol?
Refuse your what?
Battletech ran into some trouble in 1996 with what became known as the Unseen. Some of the line's most iconic artwork had been borrowed from the anime Macross, starting a long-running legal battle. FASA decided to get out while they were ahead, selling Battletech in 2001. The IP eventually found its way to Catalyst Game Labs, who managed to finally resolve the Unseen dilemma in 2015. Their work has created a resurgence of interest in the game. Their recent Clan Invasion Kickstarter campaign did exceedingly well, with lots more to come in the future. The Battletech universe has a plethora of amazing lore, far too much to explain here. The easiest way to summarize the lore is by era, and what rules are common to that era. Not long after mankind spread throughout the Inner Sphere, the Age of War began. Constant conflict and war crimes were only tempered by the Ares Convention, which had the unfortunate effect of codifying war. The heroes of these conflicts were mech warriors, noble soldiers, exemplifying literal knights of their time. In 2571, Ian Cameron created the Star League, unifying the Inner Sphere. Years of relative peace, prosperity, and technological advancement followed. The Star League was betrayed 2 centuries later in the Ameris Civil War. A shell of its former self, the Star League Defense Force was led into a self-imposed exile by Alexander Kerensky.
Yep.
The rest of the great nation was soon devoured by the great houses. A series of succession wars followed. Each was incredibly devastating for little gain. Technology was slowly being lost to time, till the Helm Memory Core was discovered in 3028. Starting a renaissance, much of the Star League's achievements were reintroduced, as well as the first new designs in centuries. Then a new threat emerged, the clans. A mysterious group from beyond the periphery with brand new battlemechs. These clans struck deep into the Inner Sphere. Only after being defeated at the Battle of Tues did they stop. It would take the recreation of the Star League to truly defeat them in 3060. With their invasion halted, the clans began to turn on each other. Their infighting became the Refusal War. Not long after, the Federated Commonwealth was divided into civil war. With factories once again rapidly producing new technology, the conflict became a massive endeavor, engulfing all of the Inner Sphere. As that war ended, so did the reborn Star League. Infuriated, the extremist techno-religious group, the Word of Blake, began their jihad. A war with unimaginable atrocities flared up across the galaxy. New equipment, mixing clan and Inner Sphere tech, pushed the bloodshed beyond that of even the Civil War. It took Devlin Stone's coalition in 3081 to restore peace, the beginnings of which became the Republic of the Sphere. After 50 years of peace came Grey Monday. The faster-than-light communications network was sabotaged. Everyone began pointing fingers at each other, blaming their old enemies for the outage. Dozens of micro-factions emerged, shifting the galactic balance dramatically. The Republic of the Sphere went into a lockdown, as we now wait to find out who broke the internet.
Good one. Wow. Well, that's so much lore. I feel like I've only scratched the surface at this point. I still haven't done the Secession Wars yet, and then there's Jihad, the Civil War, and the Dark Ages. Holy mackerel, man! I didn't even it didn't even occur to me actually. It didn't occur to me just how much errors there are in its timeline, and I'm only on the clans. Jeez. Oh man, that's big. Jeez. All right. Well, let's see what we do with the game.
To get started playing Battletech, there are 4 main products to consider. The Battletech Beginner Box comes with an introductory version of the rules and just enough to get you started.
Okay.
The A Game of Armored Combat box is the closest thing to a Battletech core set currently out right now.
Oh.
It has everything you need to play a Succession War era battle. The Kickstarter-funded Clan Invasion box set acts as an expansion to the Game of Armored Combat box. Introduces tons of new content, but notably does not come with the core rules. If you like having all your rules in one place, or just want to expand your games, try picking up the Battle Mech Manual. It covers everything regarding mech combat, all in one book. I will be using parts from all these boxes in my examples.
Alright, pre-game.
The first step in a game of Battletech is discussing what kind of battle you would like to play with your opponent.
Oh, okay. A campaign?
What scenario, objectives, optional rules, and so on will you play with. You can customize your game exactly to your liking. For our example game, we will be playing a simple skirmish set during the clan invasion. We will only be using battle mechs from that era or before, and banning any custom mechs. To be thematic, I'll be using an inner sphere force, while my opponent will be fielding a clan force. To keep things balanced, we will be using the official battle value system. It uses math to determine how effective the mech should be, assigning it a points value. As long as our 2 forces are roughly the same total, we should have a balanced fight. This is more of a guideline than a rule, as units can vary in cost dramatically.
So, okay. Okay, so when he says no customized mechs, I'm assuming he means the Omni mechs and other similar type of mechs. You don't you're not allowed to in this rule set that he laid out to teach this game. No Omni mechs or any similar type of mechs like it are allowed. It's just the pre-made ones from within in the sphere and or clans. Force creation.
Once we have decided on what rules we want to use, we will need to ready our forces. To do so, I'd recommend looking through the master unit list. I've decided my force will consist of a Black Knight 6B, a Wolverine 6R, Commando 2D, and a Griffin 1N. Most Innersphere pilots have a stat line of 4 gunnery and 5 piloting. I've upgraded my Wolverine and Black Knight to veterans, which have 3
He wasn't
force
lying
stat
about
lines.
the math.
I'll need to check the matrix on the master unit list to see what each unit's new battle value is. My opponent has picked an Ice Ferret B and a Timberwolf Prime for his
The
force.
Mad Cat.
The clans have better pilots and equipment, but still have to pay for it. Both of his units are 3/4, considered average for clan mech warriors. This brings our total battle value to around 5,500,
Oh, so that's what BV
appropriate
means.
for the invasion era. We will need record sheets for each unit we will be fielding, along with a game piece to represent them on the battlefield. Battletech is miniatures agnostic, meaning anything can count as a mech.
Oh, okay.
Official mini, 3D print, cardboard standee, third-party figure, or whatever else is totally fine. Record sheets can be photocopied
Here,
off
we'll
the
use
booklet
this.
that comes with your box set, printed off the internet, or if you're like me, laminated to be reused with wet erase markers.
Oh, that's cool.
Make sure to write down your pilot's stats and name. To form your battlefield, lay out 2 official map sheets connecting along the long edge.
Okay.
Finally, make sure each player has a handful of 6-sided dice to roll.
6-sided dice. This doesn't seem too
Battletech
bad.
is turn-based, with each turn taking 6 phases. The first of which is called the initiative phase.
Oh, so it's like
representing
Magic.
Which side has better
Okay.
battle awareness in the moment. Both players should roll a pair of dice, also known as 2d6, adding the results together. The player with the highest result has 1 initiative, and the player with the lowest result has lost initiative. Unlike in other games, later phases usually have the player who lost initiative act first. This is because most actions are resolved simultaneously, preventing any actions from affecting another until the phase is complete.
Okay.
The player taking actions later therefore ends up with more information and can make better decisions than their opponent. In the movement phase, players alternate moving mechs across the battlefield, starting with the player that lost initiative. Each player selects a mech to activate, what movement type it will be using, then expends movement points to advance across the battlefield. How a unit moves affects its accuracy and ability to evade incoming fire. We can use movement dice to keep track of how each unit moved and what modifiers it acquired for later phases. The first turn of the game will see each side deploy their miniatures onto the battlefield. There are 2 main ways to do this. Number 1, alternate placing units in the first full hex along your home board edge. Or number 2, have each unit move onto the battlefield, counting their movement from the first full hex they enter on their home edge. You can deploy however you like, as there are no official rules other than that both players agree.
Okay.
Since my opponent lost the initiative, he will move a unit first, in this case his Timberwolf. He elects to walk, checking the walking value on the top left of his record sheet. He has 5 movement points to work with. When walking, a mech can spend 1 movement point to move 1 hex forward, 1 hex backward, or to rotate by 1 hex face, but cannot move diagonally. He will move 1 hex forward, rotate once, move forward again, rotate, and move forward once more.
That's very
To
meticulous.
help remember how his mech moved, we will place a white movement die next to it. The number facing up should match the mech's target modifier, as listed on the attack modifiers table. In this case, 1.
Okay, that was very meticulous in, for movement. I mean, it makes sense that why it's hex shaped, but that's very meticulous. So you have to be extra careful not to overdo yourself when turning, because you will lose too much movement. Now I'm kind of curious. Then I guess then that would be in relation to aiming and line of sight. I'm very curious if there's a line of sight mechanic involved. What happens with running?
It's now my activation, so I will elect to move my commando. I'll choose to run, as all of my weapons have a really short range. Running is always 1.5 times your walking speed. In this case, 9 movement points.
But it costs you all your whole
Running
turn?
mechs can move forward and rotate, just like walking mechs, but cannot move backwards.
Oh.
I want to move here, but along the way, there is terrain that will slow me down. Light woods cost an additional movement point to enter,
Makes
while
sense.
heavy woods cost 2 movement points to enter. There is a hill on the way too, which is marked as level 2 and level 3. A mech can go up or down 2 levels per hex for an additional movement point per level.
Alright.
Moving up this forested hill will cost 4 movement points, while moving into this hex will cost 2.
And again,
Having finished my move, I'll place a black die indicating that my commando ran 5 hexes for a +2 modifier. Normally, play would alternate back
So,
to my opponent,
gotta be careful
but
with
since I have
turning.
more units than he does, I'll need to reference the cleverly named unequal number of mechs table.
oh.
Outnumbering my opponent 2 to 1, I will have to move a second mech this activation. This will be the same case in the next 2 phases as well. That said, I'll elect to move my griffin.
Oh, there's jumping?
Some mechs are equipped with jump jets, powerful thrusters that allow them to fly across the battlefield. Jumping mechs break a lot of the previous rules for movement. A jumping mech can move a number of hexes equal to its jumping value in any direction, landing with any facing. This jump ignores any terrain it crosses over.
Makes sense.
A mech may move up a number of levels, matching its maximum jumping value. Moving up 5 levels would therefore require a jumping value of 5.
Oh, that's cool.
A jumping mech may move down as many levels as it wants. Moving my griffin like so will only cost 4 movement points. I'll place a red movement die next to the griffin with the one facing up to end his move. Play then cycles back and forth until we have moved all of our units, ending the movement phase.
That was just the movement phase.
The weapon's attack phase is when the shooting starts. Think of it as 3 sub-phases. First, players declare all of their units' attacks, they resolve those attacks, then the results of those attacks are applied.
So it's like Magic's
That last step
breakdown.
means that no attack during the phase can affect any other attack that phase. To help showcase this better, our example game has progressed a few turns. I lost the initiative and will be going first this time. My commando unfortunately suffered a catastrophic ammo explosion and has been removed from the game.
There we go, line of sight.
On my turn, I need to pick both a mech to attack with and a mech to shoot at, known as the attacker and target. Now you can't shoot at what you can't see, so we'll need to determine line of sight to our target. To do so, simply draw a straight line between the center of the two mechs. If there is no terrain in the way, then both mechs can see each other. If there is terrain in the way, things get a bit more complicated.
Oh.
If there is 3 movement points of woods along this line of sight is blocked by the trees. A building or hill 2 levels or higher between the mechs also blocks line of sight.
Makes sense.
However, less than 3 points of woods, 1 level of hills, or other mechs do not block line of sight. If the mechs are at different heights, then terrain only intervenes if it is higher than both mechs or directly adjacent to one of them. Finally, if line of sight is directly along the edge of 2 hexes, then the target gets to decide which side they are on.
Oh, that's interesting. So, that's interesting, the way the line of sight works. It's all logical. It's very, very logical. Even if it's just one level and both mechs are of the same, like if they're on the ground and there's only one level, it makes perfect sense from a I don't want to say narrative standpoint, from a logical standpoint, because they're very, very, very tall. So a hill, a level 1 would be basically a hill as high as the torso of the mech, which means that the upper part of the mech, which is where you would be your cockpit would have the visual camera, would be able to see over the hill and can see the mech on the other side. But if it's level 2, then that means that the hill is above your head, and so you can't see the other side. That's why that would work. And same with trees. If it's not a dense forest and it's just a small group of trees, you could be able to see through the trees. As long as you have the line of sight. But if it's like a denser forest, like very, very dense, you won't be able to see through a dense forest. So it really runs heavy on logic with when it comes to line of sight. That's actually pretty good.
Now that I know what my targets are, I will pick my Wolverine to shoot first. Every weapon is mounted in a spot with a specific arc, and thus can only shoot at a target within that arc. For most weapons, that will be the front arc, which follows along the 3 forward-facing hexes. Arm-mounted weapons can reach 1 hex further into the relevant side arc. Weapons with an R in brackets are rear-mounted and fire directly behind a mech. A mech can also declare a torso twist, shifting its normal firing arcs by 1 hex to either side. I'll start off targeting the Ice Ferret with my AC-5, as all my other weapons are out of range. My opponent will have the Ice Ferret fire its ER large laser at the Wolverine. Its SRM-4 and 6 will go into the Black Knight. Next, I'll have my Griffin fire his LRM-10 at the Timberwolf.
Wow, that's a lot to keep track.
He will unload with the Timberwolf, launching the LRM-20s at the Wolverine, both ER large lasers into the Griffin, and everything else at the Black Knight. Finally, the Black Knight will fire his PPC, a large pulse laser, and 2 medium lasers at the Timberwolf. I will also have the medium laser on his left arm take a shot at the Ice Ferret. Now, with all of our attacks declared, we can work on resolving them. To resolve an attack, we need to know how difficult the shot is, which is represented by a target number. Gator is a handy mnemonic for determining our target number. G represents our pilot's gunnery skill. A stands for attacker modifier, or how the mech moved earlier. T is our target's modifier, based on how far they moved. O represents other miscellaneous effects, like terrain, damaged components, heat, or firing at multiple targets. And R is our range, which usually varies between weapons, hence
I
why
ran
it
out
comes
of
last.
lines.
Let's use Gator to find a target number for the Wolverine. To start out, our gunnery stat is 3.
Alright.
We gain +1 from walking, and a +2 from the Ice Ferret's evasion. Since we are on a level 2 hill, the woods don't matter. 14 hexes away is long range, so I'll need to add a +4 for a total of 10. a challenging shot. I roll, and a miss.
Oh.
Now that I've attacked, I need to mark off a shot from one of my ammo bins. Then it's my opponent's turn. He wants to resolve the Timberwolf next, and starts the onslaught at his primary target, the Black Knight. His gator is Gunnery 3, +2 from running, and +1 from the target's movement. As we are directly on a hex line, and I am being targeted, I have elected to have the light woods interfere for a +1. The ER medium lasers are at short range and can fire without penalty. His target number is therefore 7.
So, more
The
penalties.
machine guns are at medium range, a +2
Okay.
modifier, so they need a 9. Pulse lasers are highly accurate, naturally incurring a -2 modifier, so the medium pulse laser only needs a 5 to hit.
Oh, that's good.
My opponent can resolve these attacks in any order he wants. He starts with the ER medium lasers and lands one shot. We need to know where that shot lands, so he rolls again. The result is compared to the hit location table, in this case striking my left torso. That shot does 7 damage, so I'll mark off 7 armor pips from that location.
Oh.
The medium pulse laser is next, and hits my left arm for another 7 damage. I mark off my remaining armor pips, but I still have 2 damage to take. That remaining damage spills over into my internal structure. Whenever an attack damages internal structure, there is a chance of a critical hit destroying a system. My opponent rolls once more to determine if he landed any critical hits, and he gets 2 criticals. Now he rolls a single die, twice, for each crit on my Black Knight's critical hit chart.
That's a lot
A
of
2
rolling.
and a 5 takes out my medium laser. A 6 and a 3 is endo steel, which is the same as a roll again result. A 1 and a 3 destroys my lower arm actuator. That stings. The machine guns luckily miss. Whew. My opponent isn't done yet. The ER large lasers are targeting our Griffin next. As the Timberwolf's secondary target, all shots gain a +1 to hit. Our Gator calculation is therefore 3 +2 +2 +1 from being a secondary target and +1 from cover, and then another +2 from medium range for a total of 10. Luckily, both shots miss. Whew. The Timberwolf's last set of weapons is a pair of LRM-20s, gunning for the Wolverine. He needs an 11, and incredibly, he lands one. LRMs are cluster weapons, which spread their damage across the target. My opponent rolls on the cluster hits table, comparing the result to the size of the launcher. In this case, 12 out of the 20 missiles have hit, each doing 1 damage. LRMs bundle their missiles into groups of 5 when determining hit location, placing any remainder into their own group. The first group hits my right leg for 5 damage. The second hits my right torso for 5, and the last volley hits my center torso for 2. After subtracting ammo, my opponent passes the
right
turn
in the
to me.
nuts.
I choose the Black Knight next. Gator for our attacks against the Timberwolf are, you guessed it, 7. However, the PPC has a minimum range of 3. For each hex at or below our minimum range, we add +1 to the target number. In this case, that would be +2, increasing our target number to 9. During target declaration, I had the Black Knight torso twist to the left. Doing so brought the Ice Ferret within my side arc.
Oh.
Still, only weapons mounted on my left arm may be fired at it. As a secondary target in our side arc, our multi-target modifier is increased to +2. Even though our left arm medium laser was destroyed this phase, it can still be shot at full capacity, as damage effects are not resolved until the end of the phase.
Oh, I
we
see.
then resolve damage as normal. The ice
So, like in Magic the Gathering, once you start assigning all the damage, nothing is resolved yet until the damage step. So that gives players time to be able to do any modifications if given the opportunity, if they get the opportunity to do so. And then after the assignment of damage, then that's when you find out which creature lives, which creature dies.
Ferret is next and calculates Gator as before. His large laser misses, but the SRM-4 and 6 both hit the Black Knight. SRMs use the cluster table much like LRMs, but each missile does 2 damage to a separate hit location. The Ice Ferret's SRMs are in the Black Knight's rear arc, which do damage to the much weaker back armor. The Griffin is the last mech to activate. While the Griffin doesn't have line of sight on the Ice Ferret, it could still attack it. LRMs have the option of firing indirectly, as long as another mech is willing to spot for them. This splits the gator calculation between the spotter and the attacker. I decided not to do so this turn to help manage the Griffin's heat.
Damage calculation.
Once all attacks have been resolved, the effects of those attacks come into play. These can range from mild inconveniences to the outright destruction of a mech. If a mech has lost all internal structure in one section, that section is then destroyed, along with any equipment in it.
Ah.
Extra damage to that section is applied to the next location inwards. Losing a head or a center torso destroys the mech, removing it from the game.
Okay. So
Critical hits are another type of damage, each with a unique effect. Crits to equipment and weapons disables them. Crits to actuators or a mech's gyro causes a movement and physical attack penalty. Crits to an engine make the mech run hotter, with a third hit destroying the mech. Crits to ammunition bins cause a lethal explosion. The mech takes damage to its structure as if it was hit by all the ammo in that bin. This is almost always lethal, even with a small amount of ammo. Some of the effects of damage may call for a piloting skill roll, or PSR for short. PSRs are usually made to avoid falling over or damaging the mech warrior. To make a PSR, add the mech warrior's piloting skill to all appropriate modifiers to get a target number, then roll against it, similar to how Gator works. PSRs resulting from attacks are resolved at the end of the phase. Most other PSRs happen immediately. If a mech fails, it usually falls over, hitting the ground hard, taking damage to its new prone facing.
really, it takes fall damage?
The physical attack phase is for resolving glorious melee combat. It works in a similar way to the weapons phase, with each player declaring, resolving, and applying the results of their attacks. Calculating a target number uses the far less appealing mnemonic potato. Adding a piloting skill, attacker movement, target movement, attack type, and any other modifiers gives us our target number. There are 7 different types of physical attacks, 5 melee attacks, and 2 movement-based attacks. The first attack we'll look at is club attacks. To make a club attack, a mech needs a club, most often a tree or another mech's limb.
Oh, that's cool.
The attacker will need to have undamaged hand and shoulder actuators and can't fire any arm-mounted weapons. The
Makes
target
sense.
will also need to be in the attacker's front arc. A successful attack does 1 damage for every 5 tons the attacking mech weighs. Let's resolve a club attack with the Wolverine. A piloting skill of 4, +2 from running, +2 from our target, -1 from our attack type, and +1 from the light woods gives us a total of 9. Bam! We've hit. The Wolverine weighs 55 tons, which means we do 11 damage, or 1/5 of its total weight.
So the tonnage.
There are all sorts of melee weapons for
determines the
mechs,
damage.
the most common being the hatchet. A mech equipped with a melee weapon can attack with the same limitations as clubbing. Unlike clubs, most melee weapons are one-handed, letting the wielder make attacks in their front or side arc. A hatchet has a -1 modifier for its attacks, and does 1 damage per 5 tons. Other melee weapons have different attack and damage values, so check what the weapon is listed as on your record sheet. Punch attacks can be made with each arm in their respective arcs. Just like before, the attacking mech needs an undamaged shoulder and can't fire any arm weapons. Damage to other arm actuators add another to hit modifier and reduce punch damage by half. However, each arm may make an attack roll individually as one action. Punches do 1 damage for every 10 tons the attacker weighs and use the punch hit location table. Kick attack.
Wow, that's a lot. I hate to say this, but that is a lot. Wow. But from what it looks like, I don't have to. I don't know. Is it like Warhammer got to do paint the figurines, or the figurines already come painted? It doesn't look like. I mean, it's a lot, but it doesn't look like it's that difficult to play. So especially since everything's on the sheet and available to you on the sheet, it's just a matter of remembering the turn phases and the functionalities of your attacks. So you can actually do kicks. That's cool.
Attacks can be made against a target in a mech's forward arc, as long as the attacker's hips are undamaged. Leg actuator damage impairs the mech just like a punch would. Kicks do 1 damage for every 5 tons the attacker weighs, and use the kick hit location table. Notably, a successful kick forces a piloting skill roll on the target, potentially causing a fall at the end of the phase. A missed kick does the same to the attacker. Push attacks are the 5th normal physical attack. Push attacks don't actually do damage. Instead, they push a mech 1 hex directly away from the attacker. This is very useful for throwing another mech off of a cliff or out of cover. If a mech has a target in the hex directly in front of them, both arms, and hasn't shot any arm-mounted weapons, they can make a push. If successful, the target is immediately displaced 1 hex away and will need to take a piloting skill roll to avoid falling. The 2 movement-based attacks are declared in the movement phase when a mech is selected to move. It must pick a target that has already finished its move. The attacker then moves as if it were entering the target's hex, stopping 1 hex shy. Until the attack is resolved in the following physical attack phase, the attacking mech counts as being in that adjacent hex. This means that their movement isn't complete until the attack is. The attacker also can't fire any weapons that turn, regardless of where they are mounted. A charge attack has a mech slam into another. A mech must spend enough walking or running movement points to enter the target's hex. This does not have to be a straight line. If either mech falls during the weapon attack phase, the charge automatically misses. Charges use a comparative attack modifier instead of a set number. This is simply the attacker's piloting skill minus the target's. As both mechs collide, they both end up taking damage. Divide the attacker's weight by 10, then multiply it by the number of hexes it moved. The target takes that much damage, rounding up, as 5-point groups just like LRMs. The attacker takes 1/10 of the target's weight as damage, also as 5-point groups. After damage is dealt, the attacker enters the target's hex, displacing them just like a push. If the attack missed, the attacking mech moves to a hex left or right of their target. Finally, both mechs will need to take a piloting skill roll at the end of the phase. The last physical attack is the death from above. This move sees a jump-capable
awesome.
mech crushing their target in a single bound. The death from above works like a charge, but with jumping movement instead.
So,
make sure to account for the
Goomba
height of the
stomp.
target mech when declaring a death from above.
do a
On a
Mario
success,
stomp.
the target takes damage equal to 1/10 of the attacker's weight multiplied by 3, and uses the punch location table. The attacker takes 1/5 of its weight in damage using the kick location table. Both divide the damage into 5-point groupings. The attacker then lands in the target's hex, displacing the target on a success. On a miss, the target moves into any adjacent hex before the attacker lands. After a successful attack, both mechs will need to take a piloting skill roll. After an unsuccessful one, the attacker automatically falls.
Wow, that's actually pretty awesome. They even accounted for doing a Super Mario stomp. You can stomp a mech like Mario, and on top of that, it is possible to dodge the stomp and deliver the damage onto the stomper, and the stompy will be okay. Yeah, so far this is looking fun. I'm gonna need to take a look into this. Like I said, it seems it looks very complicated verbally, but it looks like it's an easy to pick up game once you start messing with it and playing it, and you just only have to deal with the math.
The combat prowess of a battle mech comes at a great cost: heat. In the heat phase, we need to calculate how hot or cold our mechs are, and test if something goes awry. First, we need to add up all the heat a mech generated this turn. Walking generates 1 heat, running generates 2, and jumping generates 1 heat per hex moved to a minimum of 3. Weapons fired this turn generate the amount of heat listed on the record sheet. Engine damage and some other effects also generate heat. Next, check how much heat the mech can dissipate. Single heat sinks subtract 1 heat each. Double heat sinks subtract twice as much heat. Subtract the amount dissipated from the generated heat, and the difference shifts a mech's heat scale up or down. If the heat scale rises, the mech will begin to suffer under pressure. There are 4 different effects of heat buildup: attack modifiers, movement modifiers, shutdown, and ammo explosions. Until the next heat phase, apply the highest attack modifier on the heat scale to all weapon attacks. This does not affect physical attacks. Apply the highest movement modifier to that mech's walking speed. The mech's running speed is also recalculated to 1.5 times the new number. If the heat scale is at or above a shutdown chance, the pilot must check to see if they can override the automated shutdown. Roll against the highest modifier. On a success, nothing happens, but on a failure, the mech performs an emergency shutdown, causing a piloting skill roll. A shutdown mech is immobile and unable to do anything until it restarts. A restart attempt can be made during the next heat phase after dissipating heat. There's also a chance of unspent ammo exploding if a mech gets too hot. If a mech doesn't have any ammunition, then ignore this effect. If it does, then roll against the highest modifier on the heat scale. If you fail this, find the most destructive bin of ammo, usually the fullest, and suffer an ammo explosion as if that ammo bin had taken a critical hit. The end phase is for resolving a variety of minor effects. Torso twists reset, consciousness rolls are made, jams are cleared, and so on. Afterwards, their turn is over, and a new one begins from the top. Keep playing turns until the objective has been scored, a force is destroyed, or a player withdraws. And that should be everything you need to know to get started playing the classic game of Battletech. While I didn't cover everything in the standard rule set, the rest should be fairly easy to pick up as you play. Battletech is also very open to house rules as well.
Oh, okay.
Here are some of my suggested ones for you to try out.
This looks like a fun game. It's not it doesn't seem to be overly complicated in terms of setup. It looks like I only have to get a few items and a board, of course, and some dice. I like that. And you just have to print out a sheet, and it's all down to understanding the math and remembering all the phases that go with it. It doesn't seem too bad. The figurines look nice. I'm wondering if that gotta be painted like Warhammer. Because if not, I want to take a look at it. At least get the beginners if it's cheap enough right now, and be able to do some more research into it. You know what I mean? Having physical copies. Same with Warhammer. I've been wanting to get my hands on some of that stuff. For further research, especially for the game design site, most particularly. The models look really cool. The rules are not that difficult. I was able to follow it along for the most part. You have Gator and Potato to do all your modifiers. Depending on where you're at with your line of sight and terrain, they'll get modified depending on distance and such. That's not too difficult to understand. But you just gotta go in that particular order to get the roll to beat. The roll to beat, like the 10-point roll or the 5-point roll and so on. I like the way that the line of sight works. It now makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense in with regards to why you do the turn, and not only that, but watching how the player walked up the terrain and then had to turn it got me realizing that really adds to your movement. And if you're not careful with how you move, you could use up all your movement points before you actually get to your real destination. So, for example, over on the left side here, I could see level 3, the level 3 hill. So, if you have, say, movement, you have 7 movement points, you have to move forward. Then you gotta spend a movement point to turn. And then let's see here. Let's see, what is it, like 2 movement point? It's level 1, right? Level 1 terrain, right? So you gotta spend 1 to move up a level. Then you gotta spend 1 to turn, and then you gotta spend another spend 2 to jump up. If I understood correctly. Oh no, yeah. Sorry. Over here, 2 points to jump, 1 point to turn. And since that's level 3, that's 1 point. So you're gonna lose 4 points. So if you're using a mech with 5 movement points, then you got to make sure you get it right, especially if you want to get your proper line of sight to hit a mech. You may have to turn one more, or worse, you may have to turn two more, and you might not have enough to get that full turn to be able to get the hit off. So it really, so the movement points really matter in the grand scheme of things. I really like how the sheet is very meticulous and elaborate with the entire mech itself. It's not enough to just hit and say goodbye. You gotta really break through the armor to get to the meaty juicy insides, and then you start doing the damage to the juicy insides. You start doing damage to the juicy insides. And not only that, but with regards to going back to line of sight, also it looks like the sides, the arms, it all depends on how on what your arm use and how it's facing in relation to the hex. So like here where I see the forest, if you're standing, it says 0910. So if you're standing on that 0910 hex, you got the forest on the right side, and then you have the plane on the left side, and you have to be able to decide how your line of sight works in that regard. The phases are not too bad. It's like Magic the Gathering, but both players are playing simultaneously. If I understand that correctly. No, or is it alternating? See, he didn't. I don't think he said. I think I may have missed him say that it alternate turns. But or everybody's just getting in position. No, everybody's getting in positions. Depends on who has the initiative. Whoever's got the initiative, on the initiative position. And then everybody moves into place, and then the combat starts to happen. Yeah. Overall, this is actually a really nicely well thought out, well designed game. It really covers so many, so much stuff, and it's not overly complicated. There's house rules, which is great. So it's got a lot of flexibility. How you want your campaign to occur is really good. How you build up your team, it's very, very elegant. It's very elegant in terms of its feedback loop and approach. And like I said, it doesn't feel thanks to this video, of course, it doesn't feel like there's a high barrier of entry. Like the barrier is just enough to get a person like me in, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the basics, and allows me to learn along the way and get better and better. There's a lot of tabletop games that I've come across, like say Pandemic, that has such a high barrier of entry, that you have to follow. What was the name of that one game that I played? Where you have to create your own diners. You have to take pieces. You have to claim pieces of land, and then you build your restaurant and run the diner and such. I forgot the name of that. It's a very big game. Yeah, I play. I've come across a lot of big games with very, very high barriers of entry. But Mech Warrior Battletech doesn't really come off as a high barrier of entry. It's got a lot of math, hands down, but I didn't feel lost. That's for sure. This explanation didn't lose me at all. He did a very good job explaining it, and now I got my eyes on it. When I'll be able to get it, I don't know. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind owning at least a beginner set with a beginner team. You know what I'm saying? Just to play a beginner's game, a little pickup game. I wouldn't go, for someone like me, I probably would want to play it casually, not go hardcore, deep dive into it. Just, like if the opportunity presents itself, I let them know, hey, I'm just a beginner casual player. I'm not looking to play a hardcore match. If you're doing a beginner match, I'd like to join in. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind doing that. Just to get that little quick fix kind of thing. But very, very good game. This is a very good game, and now it makes sense with the way the lore is operating, with the way that like the Mad Cat works, the Omni Mechs, and so on, the Shiro, and how they really go about it. Now I didn't know that there was a TV show. I didn't even know there was a cartoon. Is it good? Oh man. So yeah, definitely got my eyes on this one. So we'll be continuing, resuming the research with the lore. So there we go. All right. Head on over to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links to the book down in the description below, along with links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Enjoy the products. Thank you for your patronage. And if you happen to have a copy of The Impossible Man and did a YouTube video on it, thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the book. And if you're interested, you can join me on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do lore research, Japanese cultural studies, gaming, and more. I look forward to hanging out with you. So, until the next round of Mech Warrior Battletech research, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night. Buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.